All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So now we're knocked our way through that, so that's good. Okay, so what I want to do is just talk briefly about what the meeting process is this evening. So the first thing we're going to do is our information session with community groups who've been willing to come. We are assessing, we're in a research and assessment part of the developing the comprehensive plan. And one of the things we're trying to do is meet with a lot of community groups, and starting later this month, we will be meeting with citizen groups to talk about the comprehensive plan. And we'll be talking about data collection and assessment in public meetings a little bit later in this particular meeting. So following that, we're going to have one more round of comments relating to the rezoning application 85A3A 29A. So there'll be one more round of comments on that. I'm sorry to report that all the comments that I collected on email, which were mailed to town hall, did not get attached to this agenda. And I will make sure that they are attached to the next agenda. And I can tell you a little bit more about them later. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about the work of the tree board, the waterfront committee, and a citizen group that's appeared that is doing no spray, that is pushing no spray and more environmental sensitivity to some of our wildlife here on the shore. But let's go ahead and begin with Mr. Bird, T. Lee Bird, who is the chair of the waterfront committee.
Ma'am, and I was instructed to speaking to this microphone. Is that correct?
Yes, I think we're.
How's that?
Are you getting able to record this?
Yeah, here also have my cell phone out with recording both places. I just can't get it to pull up.
Okay.
So it is, and it is on YouTube Live as well. So.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
How about this? Will that work?
That's perfect.
Great. Okay, ready?
We're ready.
Great. I'm T. Lee Bird, 38 Ames Street, and I chair the waterfront committee. I was asked to come prepared to talk about current, upcoming, and anything we'd like to see as projects at the waterfront. As it stands right now, we are working on a couple of things. Sunset Park, which is, as you approach the marina, it's right at our bulkhead, our main face dock. And we've already poured the concrete. It's been stamped, and we have a bench. We already own it. But we're waiting for town staff to drill it, anchor it, put it in place. So we will have one bench down there, and it'll be about halfway down, so you can go down and enjoy yourself, watch sunset, and just enjoy it, we hope. We rent, and hopefully will continue to rent, overflow parking from the Bagwell family. It allows us to park cars, etc., away from the trailer boaters' parking area. The old Davis oil site offers a flexibility to park off street, and we have visitors that park there, and they can visit our downtown, our restaurants, shops, etc. Keeps them out of our trailer boaters' parking area to give us a little more room, and hopefully keep the trailer boaters off the street. For several years, we've rented the slip directly behind the Historical Society Mallard's Restaurant. This wide beam, deep draft slip offers the marina the flexibility to keep the face dock open and allows us to put a 35 or 40-foot vessel requiring deeper draft and not abuse our face dock, and that can be used for two pretty good sized vessels or one really nice vessel. So with electricity and water hookup there already, it was truly a no-brainer. OBCA has begun work on the beautification upgrade of our electrical panel lattice eyesore along the curve entering the marina area. I know all of you have been down there, and it's been awful for a long, long time. It was exposed, nothing but electrical boxes years ago, and we put lattice up, and it is just an eyesore and it needs some tender, loving care. And thank you to the OBCA. They have started the project, and it's going to be absolutely magnificent. Main Street, thank you for including us now on your site and in your advertising. We appreciate that. Striping. When we finished Sunset, we went ahead and had to restripe the parking area that's between our boat ramp and Mallards because we had to lose one parking spot. So we had to go ahead and restripe that. The larger parking area for boating, the trailer boaters, as well as facing the transient boats, will be done in the early spring. He just had other things to do, and that's just the way it is. So we've got the old striping there for now, but it'll be done and it'll look nice. Future projects. I'm sure that all of you have been down the marina to look at our floating dock and our slips, and we're proud of it. They did a great job, and everyone that comes here just loves it. If you will notice, if you haven't been there and looked, if you go down the ramp that is to the west, that's the one behind the Harbor Master facility, and walk down that little ramp, it was a really tight turn to get down to our floaters. So we ordered one section of floater after we finished, and it's 4 by 14, had it welded, and it gives you plenty of room, and it serves several purposes. It gives you more room to make that turn to get to the floaters. It allows a runabout, temporary mooring if he's waiting for fuel, and people unload and load vessels if they're waiting to use our ramp. So for a couple of years, we've been wanting another one. Gator Docks didn't have any 2 years ago. I just called Joe and found out that he's got some coming up in a month or so. Bottom line is, we want to put another one directly behind it. And if you'll take a look down there, you'll see that there's ample room. As I said, they're about 4 by 12. And the last one, my brothers who are millwrights took it down the ramp, rode it across, and they welded it in place. And they will, I think I twist their arms into doing the second. They probably owe me. So we would like to get that done. It'll serve a lot of purposes. It'll give us 2 areas for runabouts to wait for fuel, so we don't lose that little bit of business. Even the Joyce Marie, he has his own slip. That's the Tangier boat, and he will give us his slip. If we've got a group coming, he's more than willing to load and unload right there, but he's got to have more room. So we need that desperately. Considering continual tidal rise as well as typical flooding of our wharf area, it's going to be necessary very soon to raise our fuel pumps and the base. The easy part is the actual work necessary, but the never-ending red tape, jumping through the hoops, etc., is going to be the difficult part. Matt's been working on it. We're getting the permits in order, and when we do it, we'll probably raise it even another foot. We've got to make sure that our assistants, particularly the young ladies, can reach the pumps and start it and so forth. But every time there's a storm and I go walk around there in the water, it's higher and higher. So we hope we can get that done. Slip dredging. Slip dredging has been an ongoing burden that has proven to be an insurmountable task. Last year's attempt was immediately derailed by bids so far out of reach that it was almost a laugher. Matt has continually been in touch with contractors, funding providers, etc., and will continue to. We were going to do it by land and put it in dump trucks and haul it down North Street where the old dump was when I was a kid. Every little town had a dump, and it's grown up. We cleared it out, even put a little section in there that the dump trucks could turn around and drop the slop and move on. But way, way too much money. So someday somebody will come along with a small barge that will do it and bring it around to the ramp or something. We need dredging. We had 6.5 feet in the slip up against Bagwell Bridge, Mount Prospect Bridge, 15 years ago. And now there's 3 feet there on low tide. As you move out closer to the west, we've got some slips that will take care of a sailboat with a fixed 6-foot skag, but only have about 3 of them. And it shoals up, and we've got to do something about it. We tried everything from a round stern in there, letting the waterman back in and use one of our slips, and just moves it from one to the other, and it's not a good situation. Never has been. So that about sums it up, unless I get one more minute for a pretty good story. Won't take but a second.
Go right ahead.
Parking lots and surrounding areas at the wharf have been flooding from above normal tides since the beginning of the wharf, long before my time. I have served on several tidal rise resilience committees over the years, funded and directed by members of several Virginia universities and colleges. Overlays of the town's progressive towards tidal flooding and erosion has been indicated consistently increasing from our lifetimes, to say nothing of 100 years ago. So if you'll allow me back to the marina, during one of these resilience seminars, an engineer from Clark Nexum across the bay came over. And out of the goodness of his heart, I spent a couple of hours with him down at the marina, walking around everything, trying to figure out what we might do to protect our drive areas, to protect our transient boaters, et cetera, when we have these nor'easters and abnormal tides. He had 2 suggestions. The first one was a thing called duck bills. We have 3 catch basins, and they drain 2 to the floaters and 1 straight out. And if you put that in, it only allows the water to flow one way. Now, that only helps in a rain situation. Once the water comes over the bulkhead, that won't help. The other thing that's the reason for this little story is he suggested that we start all the way around at Mallards and put in a situation that we'd have temporary handles that we could put down up to 3 sections and block it off, if you will, all the way around across the ramp, all the way around our floaters, under Bagwell Bridge, all the way down our park, and include the neighbor until you get to the rise on Market Street. And at that time, it was so laughable because the cost of materials only was between $6 and $7 million. So it's a joke. The bottom line is, and the point of the story is, that our town's going to have to live with occasional flooding in our marina until we have no more marina. Just the way it is. Any questions? Can I answer anything?
So I should have looked into this ahead of time, but I did not. So when the money that you're receiving during the year from slips and so on, is that the money that you're using for maintenance? I mean, how does that work? How does that work?
We try to make it stretch. The bottom line is, by the time we do regular maintenance, repairs, electrical issues, there's constant electrical issues, we're broke. So the money comes from the Virginia Port Authority, from the boating infrastructure, and anyone else that'll give us a few bucks. We most of those things you see down there, Russell Jones and I got probably 50% of it or more from VPA. And you go in there and there's just everybody with their hands stuck out. And we've been so very lucky. The people there love the Bayside. They love Nancock, and they've been so great to us over the years. But the answer to your question is no.
Okay,
that money has to come from.
from
source.
elsewhere.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have any questions? No? Thank you very much, Mr. Bird. Okay, so next one up. How would you like to be next one up, Bill? Hard act to follow. So next, we're going to hear from Bill Burnham about the tree board.
Thank you for the opportunity to kind of bring people up to speed with the tree board, what we've accomplished, and I brought some ideas about what you might consider in the comprehensive plan, considering what's going on in and around the town. But just to first establish that the tree board was created by town ordinance in 1991. I'm not sure who the original founders were. I came on board, I think, in 2008, and I took it over as president in 2010. And so I've been serving as president since then. Um, the um, the purpose of the tree board is spelled out in the town ordinance. It only involves recommending to the town care, maintenance, and possibly replacements of trees on public land in town, so our parks and other places. Um, the the list of the people who serve on the board currently, I mean, we've had a long history of really prominent Onancock people serving on the board, but currently it's myself as president, Joni Donahoe. We don't really have officers, so these are just people who come. Ray Berger, who provides a valued voice in terms of landscaping and tree care in general. Jay Davenport, Shannon Gordon, and then recently we've asked a couple of other folks to kind of come and sit in with the hopes that maybe they will also join, and that's Dana Simpson and Diane Perenick. So they bring a nice, fresh voice to a board that has been basically, um, uh, kind of the same people every month. We meet on the second Wednesday of every month, and you're welcome to join us to kind of get a sense of what we do. We're more of a committee that sits around the table. We do have agendas. We're not really good at taking minutes, but the that's how it is. So, what is the tree board? We are an advisory committee to the town. We don't have purchase and spending powers. Anything we purchase and spend comes either to the town council, especially if it's above a certain dollar level, or through the town manager. And that could be anything from purchasing the willow oaks that are in the town square to, shrubs around the Onancock Landing Park area around the sculptor. I do want to kind of toot our own horn in the sense of what we've accomplished over the last 16 years or so. And pretty much you can walk around Onancock and everywhere you look, if it's a public piece of property, the tree board has had a hand in shaping it. Jeff, my first involvement with the tree board was back in, I think, 2008, when we planted the black gums that separate your property from Onancock Landing Park, which at that point didn't exist. But it just kind of inspired me to say, people can make a difference pretty quickly. And so I joined the tree board, and a couple years later, Sharon White stepped off and I kind of stepped on. So the parking lot plantings behind Town Hall was a project in cooperation with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Want to get it right, the Center for Watershed Protection and the town. The tree board's role in that was to bring it to town council, ask for their buy-in, and then we also, through a grant through the state of Virginia, purchased the trees that are in that little strip. All the landscaping and all the pavers were done by, professionals. We didn't really have much to do with that, but I'm really proud of that project. Onancock Landing Park. When it was conceived, the town council asked the tree board to come up with a plan for plantings. And what you see today is what resulted. Joni Donahoe, who is a professional landscape designer, came up with the design, the raised area where the shrubs in the circle, and then kind of we planted, I think, 1,000 salt marsh spartina cordgrass. Along the shoreline, we planted a bunch of wax myrtles. We planted some perennials that were salt tolerant. They're doing okay. They sometimes bloom. So that was a really high visual. And then we did 30 wax myrtles at the Onancock treatment plant, and we planted 5 sycamores and more than 30 wax myrtles at the Outlaw Blacksmith Shop. And then recently a bald cypress down at the park. So we're very active in the planting aspect, and I'll get to that in a minute as to why. The way that I think we can move forward with the tree board. I'm going to make sure that you guys get the copy of the ordinance. I'm sorry I couldn't get it for tonight.
That's fine.
But the ordinance strictly or clearly states that one of our missions is like how do I put this? Town arboricultural specs and standards. A hazardous tree form for people to come in and fill out and say, this tree looks like it's going to fall. It might fall on my property. And then a landscape ordinance, which has probably been the most, or it was the most controversial, which we actually state that if you cut down a tree, you have to replace it with X number. A lot of these policy initiatives, I tried to push.
That's the current code?
No.
No.
No. So these are all things that the planning commission could consider to put into your
Mhm.
comprehensive plan. At the time that I was like pushing it, and I was like, hey, this is what our bylaws or the ordinance says, and people were like, we don't need this. There's no part of Onancock that's going to develop, that we don't have to worry about that. And in the intervening years, we've had the ballpark sprout up with zero landscaping. Imagine if, as part of the zoning, that the developers would have to put in 2 trees per property. With new development happening out on the town line, it would be great to be able to say, in addition to doing your buildings and your homes and your townhouses, these are the landscape needs that you'll have to go for. And so what seemed to be inconceivable like 10 years ago is now happening. And it would be a great idea to get some of this stuff on the books
Yeah.
so that when developers come in, you can have something to point to and say, this many trees per unit or per acre. In terms of how that would happen, especially guidance, because none of us are really don't know how to write a tree landscape ordinance. The Arbor Day Foundation has been very helpful. We are a Tree City USA, so we have access to all of their expertise. They have pamphlets and brochures on how to write a tree ordinance, how to write a landscape ordinance. And I have access to all of that. And I think it would provide a good first step in that direction. So that would be great to see. That's about it in terms of bragging about the tree board. I'm going to provide to the town a copy of the tree ordinance and some information on the landscape ordinance.
Thank you.
And that sort of thing. Hopefully it'll get down to you guys. So I can answer any questions you'd like.
Did I hear that you guys were considering something to put more trees out in the B2 this, area that you were going to try to move trees out Market Street?
Right. So we'd have the crepe myrtles that from the town sign coming in to the car wash and the Peninsula Center. The idea is that from Woody's into town, there are certain areas that would definitely benefit
Yeah.
from plantings. We, as a Tree City USA, we have access to state forestry grants. Trees for Clean Water, for example, is a big one. The USDA and federal government has good programs too, and we've used those actually to purchase a lot of the trees that you see in town. I forgot to mention the town square. I think over the last 16 years, we basically have recommended and through volunteer work replaced every tree in the town square. So we may not be alive to see the willow oaks really flourish, but at least we know we planted them. But yeah, we're considering it. I think we'd call that in a very early discussion phase.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I'm also wondering about, trees and plantings are unevenly distributed in town and whether there is a role for the tree board working with the town or some other people to sort of bring more trees into some existing neighborhoods that don't have much.
well, do you have a specific neighborhood or?
No, I'm sort of thinking of some of the streets that I go up when I'm walking the dog, in and out up here. And there's sort of trees in the background, but people don't have shade trees in their yards, for example.
From our point of view, that's more of an advocacy and education.
Okay.
We can't really force anyone to plant a tree, but we can. Right, right. We can educate them,
Yeah.
encourage them, even possibly help them. But if anyone's had
Right.
any tree planting done lately, or tree cutting, it's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I know I'm terrified. I have a tree that I look at every day and just pray for its continuing good health.
on that note, if I could add, I've got that early mid-20s aerial photograph of Anancock, and you look at it and it's just covered in trees. You can barely see some of the houses on the streets. And it reminded me that a tree has a lifetime. And a lot of the trees that were planted around the turn of the century into the 1920s are going to age out.
Yeah.
And they're going to come down. So we see an old tree come down and we feel, really sick about it. But on the other hand, maybe it had rot inside and maybe it had to come down. So
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's some ways to support homeowners, to sort of give back trees or help them
mhm.
get trees. Because I consider trees really, especially on the street side, as being a public good.
Yeah, I think education and advocacy
Yeah,
would be
okay.
the tree board's role.
Okay. What I'm struck with both of these, and I'm also going to hear this with Dana, is the incredible importance of volunteers
Yeah.
in this town. I'm really struck by that and by the dedication of them and the long service of volunteers in the town. That's certainly the case in the wharf and also with the tree board.
Mhm.
It's,
It's all volunteer.
oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
really striking. It's
Yeah.
been really striking to me ever since I've been here. So,
Very good. Do you have time for a short story? It'll be
absolutely.
shorter than tea leaves. Speaking of the wharf, which is off topic of the tree board and the wharf flooding, I just want to relate that last October, I brought a group of kayakers in. We had been out to Ware Point. We were coming back and it was at peak tide. And we literally paddled up the boat
Oh,
ramp
yep.
through the parking lot to the far end. And we took our kayaks out and carried them across the street. So it's real. Yeah, it was very
Very
convenient and very
convenient.
interesting. So.
Any questions or comments for Bill? No?
No?
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we have one more, and this is from a grassroots group that has developed in the community. Dana Simpson is going to talk about And I thought it was a group that was worth hearing about because again, we've got volunteers and also community concern about environmental quality. So this is Dana Simpson, for those of you who do not know her.
Well, thank you
Do you
for
guys have
having
a
me.
name yet as a group?
Not really. It's, it started with
Thanks.
a couple of us just informally getting together and then more people just swing in and out. And I think really it's a movement,
Mhm.
but the direction that we hope to go in the future is to make it a little more solid because there's many national groups that are concerned with pollinators and making sure that we're using native plants and
Here, it sounds as though you and the microphone are not quite close.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Boop. All right. So there's a bunch of groups that we hope to work with to continue to push the agenda of native plants, save the pollinators, less spraying, education, monitoring mosquitoes, all of the above. And really the grassroots effort started due to current movements to bring back pollinators and in reaction to people's concern about the spraying here in Onancock. Many people are urging a return to native plants and increased pollinator-friendly areas and pollinator protection goals such as the integrated mosquito management goals. And we'd like to see Onancock embrace these goals and increase its reputation as an eco-friendly community. And it's neat because all of the speakers before me are also sort of focused on that, which I think is an integral and valuable part of Onancock, its interest in being eco-friendly. So what we've done is we tried to really get an educational thing going to alert the town and the community to different things they can do, from using dunks to emptying all of the water on their properties, things like that, just very simple stuff. And we want people to remember that spraying impacts only the adult populations of mosquitoes, and then any eggs laid will hatch in 3 to 5 days. So the mosquito problem will only be eliminated if we can prevent the larva from hatching by dealing with the stagnant water. So once again, that's everybody kind of being aware and creating a mindset. So we made the no spray signs and people could opt out from spraying, and that also increased people's interest in the whole issue. We created and distributed a flyer for basic mosquito education, ways to reduce these larval hatchings through the use of dunks. And I contacted Wachapreeg's mayor as they've stopped spraying there and they only use dunks. And he got back to me and wrote me this very nice little letter. And he said, Dana, this is Charles Elliott, the mayor of Wachapreeg. Paula Deppen is attached and reached out to me. This is in regards to the mosquito dunks. Before I had been mayor, we used a company that was charging us a ridiculous amount of money. They were using dunks and occasionally spraying. However, I wanted to bring back dragonflies and other mosquito-eating wildlife. We are now only using dunks, and we offer them to anyone in town who wants them for free. Dragonflies have been returning, and I've noticed swallows more active. We've saved almost $7,000 a year providing these free dunks. I'll send you the name of the company when I'm in the office next week. I'll remind him. And I prefer to do things as naturally as possible, especially being near the water. I will look to be exact, but I want to say we purchased about 1,000 dunks for $800 compared with the company that basically did the same thing. Other than putting an orange flag on them, we're saving a lot. So that's from Charles Elliott. And it's nice to know that various towns are succeeding with this kind of movement. So I feel like the protecting native pollinators and offering educational opportunities for the community will build this environmental mindset that is a solid bridge to establishing Onancock as an eco-friendly town. And that plays into Onancock as a tree city, bird flyway, and an eventual dark sky town. And nurturing nature locally, we maintain the health of our area while attracting an eco-minded tourism with an affluent demographic attracted to arts and our pleasant lifestyle here. Further, we'd like to brand Onancock as maybe a bee city as well. Berlin, Maryland is a bee city. So we have people nearby that have managed to do this, and it's actually quite simple. It takes about 3 years. They give you the guidelines. If you're under 10,000 people, which of course we are, it costs $100, and you start working, and it's basically exactly what we've been doing. This is just a bit of factual stuff. Pollinators touch our lives in numerous ways each day, including being responsible for approximately 1/3 of the food and drink we consume. The value of the crop pollination has been estimated between 18 and 27 billion annually in the US. Research has shown significant declines in native pollinator population sizes and ranges globally. In fact, up to 40% of pollinator species on Earth may be at risk of extinction in the coming years as a result of habitat loss, pesticide use, and climate change. Thinking globally and acting locally, Bee City USA provides a very good framework for communities to come together to conserve native pollinators by providing them with healthy habitat that's rich in a variety of native plants and provides nest sites and is, of course, protected from pesticides. So we also thought in the future, we might try to work on a seasonal guide to planting native plants needed by pollinators that offer beautiful color year-round. And we'd make these available through public venues like the farmers market or community organizations or possibly the town's websites. We hope to establish a research-based policy for mosquito control and monitoring agreed to by the town. One of our members went up to upstate New York. There's a place called Ulysses, and they've also done this there. There's a lot of small towns working towards just making their towns very pollinator friendly. More pollinator gardens can be introduced throughout Onancock to complement the master gardener's beautiful herb patch at Carr Place that delight and educate the public. And that's an opportunity for our town square to be planted with native plants for pollinators and wildlife, along with area parks like the Northeast Playground as proposed by the OBCA and also private citizen gardens. These could provide an additional attraction to visitors. Eventually, there could be a pollinator garden walk map offered as a wonderful activity. So we hope to work with community groups like planning and the OBCA, the Virginia Eastern Shore Land Trust, along with master gardeners and naturalists shore-wide to bring this positive path to Onancock and hopefully spread on to the surrounding communities as well. So on the money end of things, we've pretty much financed this out of our own pockets. It really hasn't been that expensive, and the Bee City isn't that expensive. So there's not a huge budget involved. I guess that's about it. Thank you for your interest and support of this issue and your good work. Does anyone have any questions for me? Any questions?
Just, Dana and I guess Bill and T. Lee, could you provide like a summary of what you're doing so we can put it in the plan?
I would be very happy to do that. Yeah.
Doesn't have to be too detailed, but.
Yeah, we're collecting all that stuff, and there's a lot of material that'll show up in appendices. The
Yep.
plan itself will be pretty concise, but there's a lot of material that can show up in appendices.
It's better to come from you than us try to.
Oh, yeah. I'll
Exactly.
be happy to do that, and I'll put the different websites, links, everything right in there.
Great.
All right.
Okay,
You're welcome.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow, I'm always knocked out by this. And Dana's my neighbor across the street, and she has the energy of 3 human beings. So, okay. So our next item on the agenda is a public comment regarding, we're going to switch to the rezoning application 85A3, A29A. And what I thought before we enter our own deliberation, that we would hear one more round of public comment. As I mentioned to the commissioners, I have collected quite a few public comments in the form of emails. These were supposed to be attached to this agenda as part of this packet, and were not. So I will make sure that they are attached in any material that goes forward to the town council. So and we'll make sure it's attached to the minutes this next time. If you'd like to see them, you can also let me know and I'm happy to email them to you. So, so I don't know if we had, Hannah, did you do a public comment thing? Okay, let's, run through that. Thank you very much. Huh? Oh, yes, yes, everybody has to identify, yes, they'll identify themselves. So I think what we'll do is go ahead and allow citizen comment, and then you had asked to be, Mr. Caldwell, you had asked to be included in the comments, in public comments? Okay. Okay. Oh, excellent. You're Matt. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So Jay, would you like to, Jay Miller?
So I wasn't expecting to be an orphan here for comments. I really expected to have a better showing, and that's kind of disappointing. So I was going to ask a few questions, mainly about the math and that pertaining to the zoning, and how one can expect this to be included on 27 acres without some sort of, having this as just strictly as an R2 rezoning. The developer in his original offering here says in here that he needs to have a lot size variance in order to do this. And it seems to me that R2 without a variance isn't going to allow anything at all close to this. Now, I've heard a couple of comments saying that somehow you can squeeze 200 and something structures on this 27 acres. Well, I was a computer programmer for 35 years, and math and logic were my business. And I can look at this picture and I can tell you that there's no way that you're going to put, if this is 120 structures in this particular plan, there's no way that you're going to get another 100 in here. I'm sorry, it just doesn't pass the site test. So, but what you've heard here is that Onancock is small town America. Small town America. We have eco things, eco-friendly things. These are all we got trees. These are all the committees, and these are all the volunteers that are coming to town in order to keep the town in the area that it's in right now, and that is if you're trying to attract tourists, then this isn't going to do it. This is not eco-friendly. I'm sorry, but this goes against all of the comments and all of the volunteer structures that I've heard so far in town since we moved here. So if you want to be small town America and you want to attract people to come here, we're worried about pollination and stuff. These are all the comments that we hear. This isn't it. I'm sorry. This just isn't it. Onancock doesn't need it. This is not a plus for the town. This is a big giant. There's nothing in it. There's nothing in the town for us with this. That right on the outskirts of our area. It's nothing but minus, in my opinion. So I've said this so many times that I don't want to be repeating myself over and over again, but it seems to me that we don't seem to be making any headway as to the importance of what's going to happen if you put this in town. I'm sorry. We just can't, you just can't do it.
Thank you. Okay. You're going to have to help me with your last name, sir. Odachowski. Okay, Matt Odachowski.
Okay. My name is Matt Odachowski, president of Royal Plus Disaster Cleanup, and fell in love with this town about 2000, 2001 when we started covering this area. My wife and I, we bought a property on 134 Market Street, did a lot of work to it. We opened up our business. We covered a large area. We actually, to this day, we cover a much larger area. And we actually had a flooring showroom, disaster recovery, and we did a lot of work in and around the area. And one thing that I can tell you is that in order for any town to survive is you need the businesses to survive, you need to have the tax base, and you need to do it right. So with that said, going back, we spent every single weekend pretty much during the winters down here. My kids learned how to play wiffle ball inside the shop. We moved the carpet racks to the side. We rode bikes around town. We went out on the water. We really, really enjoyed it. With business and work, it got me going around. And now we actually are licensed in 44 states for disaster recovery. And we do work all around. And we still cover this area. We just no longer have the flooring showroom. And I think it's important with any small town, what I see is a domino effect. And I call it a vicious circle, where you see businesses come into towns and you see them work really hard, and you see people that really, when you look at the business owner, when you look at it, they're making less than minimum wage just to keep things going. You see families that grow, but their kids move away because there's no places for them to sustain. And that can change, but it's got to be changed properly. And I heard what everybody said today. I think it's great that we have all these volunteers. You have issues that take money to fix, no matter what it is. So we actually downsized the size of the property from down 34 units. So we're down to 94 now. When you look at I believe it's 95, excuse me. When you look at the Accomack County, basically their planning, right now, we are about 1,421 units short for people in Accomack County. Now, how do you expect your kids to have places to move to? How do you expect for new businesses to open up without growth? You have to have growth in order to sustain. So we're 1,421 units short right now. In the Onancock Comprehensive Plan, it actually states in there to change the zoning on Market Street. It's page 31. Change the zoning on Market Street to promote mixed-use retail residential. When we go into the Virginia housing and we actually put in all the information, that project will create 241 jobs. It's an estimated gross physical revenue of $700,000, and the local economic growth is $15,503,000. With the hospital, I know in past comments, it actually stated that they're worried about overwhelming the hospital. I got this from the Atlantic Group, and it was from Nick Chukwin, the president. And basically, it says that Riverside Shore Memorial Hospital would welcome new residential units close to the hospital. This would help recruit professionals to the shore. As you know, housing is a concern for companies looking to come to the shore, and it's also for us as we recruit physicians and allied health professionals to the shore. These new units would help to alleviate the housing concern over time. If I can help support this or any other way, please give me a call. I actually have hand out. And you can read this through. It's basically reasons for supporting the rezoning and to vote against the rezoning. So, you look at the tax revenue, you look at the jobs it creates, you look at workforce housing, you look at smart growth. I understand, with the trees, I understand that. You can have some beautiful developments, and that's why it's been changed. When you look at the latest plan, it is the entrance to Anacog, and that's why we made the park bigger, so that there was an area there that, as you come into town, looks beautiful. So when I go back, 2001 or so is when we bought our first property. We continued to invest in the town. We've bought, my family and I, my kids, my son, my daughter, and my wife all purchased this property together, the other property. But over those years, I purchased a lot of other properties in town, and I still maintain those properties down at the end of Jackson Street. We've bought that. We bought the property where Duncan Manor is and where the airport strip is. And, we're looking at that to reshape it to make sure that it supports the area. Even with all these projects in play, and I understand change is hard for everybody. And, but you look at the alternatives, and if you plan it and you change and you do it correctly, then it will be a positive for the area. So you can go through that and see. I do want to, when you look at it, we're Business Highway B2. And in the plan, we could put, and the height is where you get the difference. We can go up to 35 feet. We can put stores down below, and we can put 2 levels of apartments on top. And that's not what I want. I want to make sure that we do something that promotes the town. When you look at the job creation right now with Wallops, and if I was going to be employed by Wallops, I would want to go to a town that you can walk your kids on the street, you can bike ride like we did for so many years, and where I have a place to call home. And I think that there's a lot of people right now that's going to be coming to the area because of Wallops growth that are looking just for that. And Anacog is perfect for this. So with the new plan that was submitted, it does show the reduction. We have a lot more green space, and we have reduced it down to 94 or 95. And I just want to thank you for your time tonight. And like I said, we come down here with my work. I travel a lot with work, but creating jobs and making sure that we're helping communities as we go along is important to us. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Rosemary Paparo.
As you know, I live in Onancock, and I'm very concerned about many projects that Mr. Carbow is undertaking for his, I guess you have a number of clients. So we have the 450, I think it is, units that are going up in back of Food Lion. We have the units on the airstrip, which is outside of town, so we don't have any control over that whatsoever. And now we have this planned development as you come into town. And I think that maybe what we need, besides having an R1 and an R2 zoning district, is maybe we need another zoning district. Mr. Carbow mentioned in the post that I think the R2 would allow them to have over 300 units built there. So I personally would hate to see that, you change it to R2 and all of a sudden, okay, we're changing our plans and now we can put in 300 odd units, and that's what we're going for. We're not going for 120 units or 90 units. We're going to go for the 300 units. And I think we have to be very careful and cognizant of what's happening and how what is in the best interest really of the town. We always hear workforce housing. We know very well that these Northampton and Accomack are the two poorest counties in all of Virginia. We know that I think it's the median income here in town, the median household income is, I believe it's under $60,000. So that's with two people working. So when you talk about workforce housing, is that really what's being built? Probably not so much. Maybe housing for doctors working at the hospital or people working at Wallops, which is, kind of far away, but I guess people commute. But, is it for anybody working at Purdue? Probably not. Is it anybody working at Walmart? Probably not. I don't know if there's a way. I do know in other communities, and I'm out of New York City, that developers will sometimes be given incentives. Okay, build what we agree that you can build, but we want you to scatter through their low-income housing, to go to people that don't have the money to spend $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 on whatever it is they're building. So I ask you, please proceed with prudence, because once the deal is done and you can't take it back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give is there anybody else? I've sort of allowed people to, did you want to add something, Joe?
Yeah. This town has been exceptional for as long as I've lived here. Being exceptional is a cool thing. I don't want it to be sold.
Have to ID yourself.
Oh, Joe Hill, 28th Street, sorry about that. I guess it should be over here, 10 to 1.
Yeah.
All I was saying is we've had a house for 22 years here. The town's exceptional. We moved here because of what it offered. And money's not going to buy that out. We need to get creative, figure out where we've got income come. Increasing the tax base isn't going to do it. It's a short-term remedy for a long line of overtaxed facilities, crowds, this and that. Kind of place you want to visit, but wouldn't want to live there. Our avenue is tourism dollars without having to add other stuff. One suggestion is discussion of urban growth boundaries to prevent what we're going through right now. So it would designate as big as the town needs to be or wants to be. But please don't assume that you're going to get advantages from overdevelopment. There's things like traffic now, stuff like that. There's room to do. Don't let this happen, please.
Thank you very much. Dana, you wanted to add something else?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dana had a letter that was included in the handout in the ones that I pulled together.
I think we all noticed with especially the speaking about the wharf and the tides and climate change that things are not as they have been. So perhaps development has worked in the past, but Onancock especially is a finite piece of land. It's surrounded by water. There's not a whole lot of space. And it really needs to maintain its resources at a reasonable level. And that has to be determined. There's a finite aquifer. There's going to be many draws on it. And we need to do research and make sure that it can accommodate what we have here already without adding all kinds of stuff. We just have to, as Rosemary says, definitely proceed with prudence because of the water issue, first and foremost, but also all the other implications of too many people in too small of a spot. It's a very big, wide peninsula. It doesn't all have to be jammed in this small little peninsula here. Eastern Shore has plenty of space.
Thanks. Okay, well, this closes the public comments regarding the rezoning application. The next step that's going to happen is we're going to pass a motion for deliberation to support our conversation about what we've heard and the thoughts that we've had about it and the research that we've done. And then we will close that and then we will take a vote. I want to make it clear to everybody that the planning commission's vote is a recommendation to the town council, which will have to go through another public hearing, if I remember correctly. So there will be another public hearing following this one before they make a decision whether to accept our decision. So that's how things roll around here. They roll, but they roll at their own pace. So then what we will do is we will vote, and when we have deliberated and voted, I will assemble all the materials that we have, materials from the developer, materials from, that we've collected from the community, and our own comments. And we will also have a memorandum that justifies the decision, and that will go to town council as well to guide them in their decision. So we'll be producing a package of material for them. Okay, so what I would like to do is have someone move to open deliberation on the rezoning application.
I'll move that we open deliberation on the.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just open the floor for my fellow commissioners to speak about their feelings, their sense of this application and what their concerns are. And how they're regarding this process. Okay. So I don't know who wants to be the start, whether we'll start at that end of the table and go that way. How about that, Greg?
I'll go. Well, first of all, thanks for everybody for coming out and bearing witness, and thank you for coming in for the presentation. We are a representative body here, and if you've been through the last public hearings and whatnot, the overwhelming public sentiment is against this particular project at this particular time. So that has, a large bearing on, how I'm looking at this. I appreciate very much what you said. I happen to actually agree with you that, cities and towns are much like people. If they don't grow and change, you atrophy and you die. But we have to do it the right way. And one of the things I took away from the comments was we need to go slowly on this. We as a body right now, and what's come across to me through our deliberations in this is that our ordinances really aren't adequate to address what you're wanting to do. Rosemary hit on that. Changing it straight to R2 from B2 actually leaves us quite vulnerable to a larger development simply because we've made it that way. So part of the process that we're going to go through here is that we're going to update our zoning codes and our comprehensive plan. And at that point, hopefully we will be much better informed and we will have a much greater consensus on how it is we wish to proceed with development. So would not vote against your development. It's rather, I would like you to understand that we're in a process of looking at our zoning and our comprehensive plan, and we want to do this right. So, for right now, I would not find this a project that I would want to approve right now at this time. But then once we've finished our process, please come back and revisit that.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Jeff?
Well, I've thought about this, leading into the meeting, and one of the things that I was going to bring up, and actually, was it Matt? Matt brought up is, it's zone commercial right now. And so they have the capability to build a commercial development there, as opposed to a residential development now. And so I think that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. As someone that invested in the property, he's going to want a return on his investment, somehow. So I think we need to keep that in mind as well, that, no one wants a residential development there, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't be a commercial development. And, is that something that we don't want even more? So I think it's something that we need to keep into consideration. And you know, I wouldn't want a commercial development there. I think we have plenty of empty buildings in Onancock that we don't need more commercial development. And also the traffic that would come with you know, a commercial development in that area as well. So that's just my thought.
Okay, thank you very much. Cindy?
The comments that we've heard from the public were pretty much overwhelmingly, no, we don't want development there. Probably one of the things is the large development behind the Food Lion Shopping Center that's already permitted for around 400 and some units. Everybody is really concerned about that many units in that space. Now, granted, it's outside of town, so we had nothing to say about it, but how that's going to impact the town is something we don't know. We just don't understand it. And we also understand you're looking at developing the Duncan Manor property, which again is outside of our control. So I think it's that sense of not knowing with those two, as well as continuing concerns about the water supply, since we know that the aquifers are potentially limited. We don't, to my knowledge, really have any idea how much water is available to support the entire population of the Eastern Shore. I've heard reports saying we have plenty for what we've considered thus far in terms of expansion to the hospital, things of that sort. But it's just another one of those unknowns that makes people very nervous. None of us want to think about the possibilities of not having water or of there being saltwater intrusion because we're drawing down water too rapidly. So given those concerns, I can't support the application at this point. Like my colleagues, I agree that we need revitalizing, but even the development of a commercial property, to me, there, when we have so many vacant spaces in the existing commercial properties on the highway. I mean, I'm not a business person, so I can't really speak to that, but that doesn't seem like a viable option either to me. So at this point, I can't support this particular application.
I'm gonna step aside since I'm the chair and turn it over to Paul.
Sure, I think that I agree with the comments that have been made on all sides. For me, it kind of boils down to that's the last B2 zoned piece of land in town. And it's been B2 for a long time. And while we've been told that as a commercial area, it may not have much value, that's before we have the larger developments that on the county land. And so my concern, I think there are a lot of good things about what's being proposed. And I think in the future, it will be certainly worth thinking about. But for right now, I would like to retain the B2, the historic B2 zoning that property has. And that's really what guides my decisions. So thank you, but I expect to see you again in a couple of years.
Jim?
Okay. Jim McGowan. First, I'd like to thank everyone for speaking at the public hearing on September 9th and for submitting the written comments. I went through them this weekend, and here are some things that stood out to me from those comments. This is the gateway to Onancock. We need specific guidelines for developers and detailed plans, and these are snippets from the public comments. New development needs to blend with the aesthetics of Onancock. Rezoning from B2 to R2 would allow upwards of 250 to 300 units and not be limited to the 129 units proposed. And now they said they're proposing 95 units. But if this is rezoned to R2, it will allow by right whatever is allowed in the ordinance. And I estimated with, say, 20 buildable acres, half-acre lots, 6 units per half acre, that's 240 units of apartments right there. And I asked at the last meeting if any proffers had been submitted, and I was told no proffers have been submitted. So we have to assume if this is rezoned, it can be built out according to what the district ordinance allows. It would not be limited to these site plans that you've put forth. Someone said the number of units requested is not even near the amount that we need. Someone said other nearby developments with hundreds of lots have already been approved. So those are some of the concerns of the public. We're in the process of updating the 2020 comprehensive plan. Our current plan and land use ordinances are not capable of handling this type of development. They're very simple ordinances that were really developed after the town was built. They're very simple. They're really intended to manage zoning issues for existing development. They're not there to get good development. Once land is rezoned, the owner is only required to do what is written in the current ordinance. And as I said, it's a very basic ordinance. I encourage you all that have participated and spoken to participate in the upcoming comprehensive plan public meetings so we can identify what type of future development Hancock wants and what comprehensive plan and land use ordinance amendments are needed to make that happen. The other point I wanted to make was the application includes a request for a variance for the lot size for townhouses. And I pointed out at least 2 or 3 times at these meetings since, was it May, Chris, when you first came in? Yeah. A variance is not, it's not the responsibility of the planning commission. That's a board of zoning appeals. And it's a very narrow thing. It's not intended for a blanket variance to an ordinance requirement for a large development like this. So I just want to say that so people can understand that. The current town plan does not have a future land use map. I don't know why. The 2 previous plans, 2009 and 2000, had future land use maps. And in both those plans, this is mapped, the future land use of this is mapped as commercial. And that's really the thing we go to for rezoning. We look at the future land use map. So I would defer to the previous plans. I don't know if someone just forgot to add that page when they revised the plan 5 years ago. But that's really what guides rezonings. The residential section on page 20 of the 2021 comprehensive plan states that this land use category, residential, is the predominant land use in Hancock and is intended to preserve the existing character of the town's neighborhoods. New residential development would constitute infill development in areas that are predominantly characterized as residential. The residential land use category is broken into 2 categories: low-density residential and high-density residential. And regarding high-density residential, the comprehensive plan states high-density residential should be limited to existing multi-unit facilities or redevelopment. As the requested rezoning would allow approximately 250 to 300, the Atlantic Group representative last month said up to 400 units could be built on this property. On the 27 acres, rezoning of the property is not appropriate. The VDOT traffic analysis for the proposed rezoning is limited to the 129 dwelling units proposed in the application. The VDOT analysis does not consider the potential traffic generated that rezoning of the parcel to R2 multifamily residential would allow by right, nor does the VDOT analysis consider the traffic impacts of the approved but unbuilt developments along the Market Street corridor in Accomack County. There are 6 existing multifamily housing developments in Hancock, and all are located on properties that are approximately 5 acres or less in area. One of them is less than an acre. Rezoning a 27-acre property to R2 multifamily residential greatly exceeds the size and scale of Hancock's existing multifamily housing developments. It does not preserve the existing character of the town's neighborhoods and therefore is not appropriate. So those are some comments. I think, as the comprehensive plan is revised, as we revise the ordinances, I'd be interested in talking to the owner and figuring out what and the community, what is a workable plan for this property? Yes. I'm not opposed to some new development, but honestly, our ordinances do not. We're gonna have a mess out there.
They don't protect
You know,
us at all.
And not on
Yeah.
your account, but once it's rezoned, you're gonna have way more rights than you're proposing to develop. And so those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Jim. So I'll just say that, I go with Jim on a lot of this stuff, and I am not against development in the community, but I think this community needs an opportunity to talk its way through this a little bit. And we're trying to do this in this comprehensive plan process. We're working on being extra transparent through the entire process to get a sense about what people really want the town to be, and what they're thinking about issues like housing, access to housing, access to services, and so on. So right now, you kind of caught us at this awkward moment where we're at the point where we're not only are we trying to re-envision this comprehensive plan so that it'll help us move into the future more carefully, but as I have learned from spending time on the ordinances, our zoning ordinances are not adequate as a package to deal with any of the future challenges that I see. And, we don't have a planned unit. We don't have anything for planned unit development. We don't have anything that requires that, to think about things like promoting environmentally sound building practices. I mean, there's any number of things. There's environmental issues. All this stuff is kind of floating out there, and I would rather see us in a position where we were sort of working with people to try to figure out the best way to go about this. I will also tell you that this doesn't have anything to do with you, but I was very unhappy with the process and the way the application came to us because it struck me as being incomplete at the time. And I'm not sure that you received the guidance that you should have received on, and it may be that we don't have our ducks in a row on this kind of reapplication anyways, including the timeline. We've worked hard to try to stay within a reasonable timeline, but we have work to do on that side too. What you're dealing with is a small town that has really good intentions and wants to do things right, but I will tell you is freaked out by both Exmoor, the proposal in Exmoor, and the proposal at Food Lion. So what's happened is that I think that we have to take that, it would be wise to take that into account and sort of figure out a way that we could come up with development proposals that meet the property owner's desires, but that also meet town concerns about that being the gateway, about the architectural character of the community, our increasing environmental concerns, all those things come into play. So it might be that this is an opportunity to do something really special, but I think that we need to, the Planning Commission needs to be in a position to do its work at this point. Our timeline for a completion of the plan and taking it to the town council is May. So it's not that far out, but it's pretty clear to me, at least, that our zoning ordinances are going to need major work, and whether we can get started on that while we're in the public comment period on the plan and stuff like that, I'm not sure. But we are interested in moving along in as timely a way as possible, but also as open a way as possible for all the parties involved. So does anybody want to add anything to what's been said so far? Any comments on each other's comments? All right. I think Paul brings up an interesting point because it could be that business you know, if we suddenly have thousands of new units nearby or hundreds of them, that may look like a business property, but we leave that for another day. And so what I want to do is close deliberation. May I have a motion to do that?
Move we close.
Okay, Jim seconds, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, so now we've reached the point where we are going to vote on the rezoning application. And we're voting about the recommendation that we're going to be making to town council. So we need to generate a motion. It can be a fairly simple one, I think.
Well, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
It's not simple.
all right, make a motion.
I already read most of it, but I'll have.
Yeah, go
I'll
ahead.
Read it for the record. I move to recommend denial of the Ella rezoning application to rezone tax parcel 85A3-A-29A from B2 Business Highway to R2 Multifamily Residential for the following reasons. The Town of Anacog Comprehensive Plan does not include a future land use map. The 2021 Comprehensive Plan, without a current future land use map to guide this decision, rezoning of the property is not appropriate. 2, the future land use maps in the 2000 and 2009 Town of Anacog Comprehensive Plan designates the Eller property as commercial. 3, the residential section on page 20 of the 2021 Comprehensive Plan states this land use category, residential, is the predominant land use in Anacog and is intended to preserve the existing character of the town's neighborhoods. New residential development would constitute infill development in areas that are predominantly characterized as residential. The residential land use category is broken into 2 categories: low-density residential and high-density residential. Regarding high-density residential, the comprehensive plan states high-density residential development should be limited to existing multi-unit facilities or redevelopment, as the requested zoning would allow approximately 250 to 300 new multifamily housing units on the 27-acre property. Rezoning of this property is not appropriate. 4, the VDOT traffic analysis for proposed rezoning is limited to the 129 dwelling units proposed in the application. The VDOT analysis does not consider the potential traffic generation that the rezoning of the parcel to R2 multifamily residential would allow by right. Nor does the VDOT analysis consider the traffic impacts of the approved but unbuilt developments along the Market Street corridor in Accomack County. And 5, the 6 existing multifamily housing developments in Anacog are all located on properties that are approximately 5 acres or less in area. Rezoning a 27-acre property to R2 multifamily residential greatly exceeds the size and scale of Anacog's existing multifamily housing developments, does not preserve the existing character of the town's neighborhoods, and is therefore not appropriate. So that's my motion.
Okay.
I'll second your motion.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll call the any other comments? No, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of supporting Jim's motion? Did you want to?
You should probably have a roll call.
We should have a roll call. You're right. You are absolutely right. We will have a roll call.
Can we
vote.
make sure what we're voting for? Because,
We are voting.
we're
we are-
going to accept, his motion is that we deny the application.
Yes,
That's what we're voting on.
Right.
Yes.
His motion.
We
Okay, got it.
recommend.
His recommendation to the town council,
Right.
correct?
Yes.
All right.
okay. So let me have a roll call vote in support of, whether you're in support of Jim's motion. May I have
Discussion on the motion?
any discussion on the motion at this point? Everybody's had a pretty good chance to
You've heard-
speak, I think. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. Let me do it. I'm gonna not do, well, wait a minute. Are you capable of doing it or you want me to do it?
I'm sorry, I still don't have all your names.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll do the roll call vote. I'm gonna start this way. Greg Temple,
I vote to deny the application.
Jeff,
Aye.
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 Aye to deny the application.
Aye to deny the application.
Including the
Yes.
text, and I can give
Yes.
Hannah a copy of that.
Okay, very good. Okay, so the motion has carried. We are going to deny the rezoning.
Recommend denial.
Recommend, we're going to recommend to town that the town that they deny the rezoning. I would like to suggest that this not be the end of conversations. Okay. So now we actually are moving along to some work that we've got to do on the comprehensive plan. You're welcome to sit in on it, or you may have had enough time in those awful chairs. So,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Okay, so now we've got to do a little bit of work on the on data collection and some stuff associated with what is called assessment, but it's basically research for the comprehensive plan. So what I wanted to do was to what I've got here for you is just another copy of the proposed timeline so that you can remember what we're theoretically committing ourselves to. We're going to try to make it because we're going to, believe me, I'm giving this thing my spring. So we're going to try to make this. So, okay. Joe, are you hanging in there? Okay. Would you like a copy of the timeline you want to see? Okay. Very good. Thank you. He is. He gets the gold star. So the first thing I wanted to do was I need some advice on developing the public outreach on. I mean, I know how to do it in the sense of publicizing it, talking to people, setting up a space, all that stuff. But I want to know, I'm not sure how to break it down. We can do a big public gathering in here or at the school, but I also think we need to do some more targeted outreach. So I could use some advice on that.
Good question.
Yes.
We're doing this outreach now. Why? I mean, to me, until we start writing, people have nothing to react to.
No, they're going to have something to react to, and I'm going to hand them to you right now.
We can ask them a series of like just
Yep.
kind of things people would bring up public hearing. What do you want an Hancock to do? What type
Yep.
of development? It's that's what do you like about the town? What do
Yep.
you like?
And it's really something, and what I've discovered from leading this kind of planning, this kind of stuff, is that you use question prompts. And what happens is that, and you have people respond fast to these. They get a couple minutes, and then you kind of go into this, and it'll get a conversation going that then we have to capture and take notes on and transcribe.
What helped me in reading the questions is that many of them are the same ones that Main Street asked. That's right, you do.
It's a pretty typical process.
Yes.
We did
Yeah.
when 5 years ago, I helped the planning commission do a workshop.
Yep.
And we had some great material, but then we were told that we were working too slow and the town went ahead and did it themselves. But anyway, I would suggest we have a kickoff meeting at the school. This is too small.
Mm-hmm.
And then go with some smaller workshops, whether it's your neighborhood, or maybe ask people, would you like to have a workshop in your neighborhood?
Right.
Yeah.
Or even at the big kickoff, we could set aside where we break off into smaller groups.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, one of the things about, holding like a public hearing, it gets very unwieldy and,
Yeah.
we want people, we want everybody to feel the chance that they have something to say. They
Yeah,
could
we
be,
need to hear what
yeah,
people have to say.
yeah.
We don't-
So,
To incorporate what's already been collected.
Maybe some of the data.
Maybe some
Certainly
of it.
say, here's where we are, here's. the
But
trend.
Cindy, you can't ask people
Yeah.
once.
you know,
Just because your mind works that way, you cannot ask people once about stuff like this.
And also, Cindy, I think part of what we're doing here is sort of changing the way and the way the people have input. So I agree. Look at this, a lot of this has already been asked, but it gives them a chance to participate in this. And the feedback that we're all getting
Oh, yeah.
is that people are all like, wow, this is the way you ought to be holding meetings. And so we have a lot of the information, but I think the process itself is important.
So how
to
do we
them.
mesh any,
Yeah.
for instance, if Main Street's going this way and the Planning Commission's going this way,
Well, we shouldn't be.
do we care? I mean,
Well,
we
yeah.
Certainly
Yeah.
are getting input from. Main
We've
Street.
gotten a lot of input
And
from
I've
Main
looked-
Street.
I've looked at some of their documents and, it's great stuff. And all this stuff gets, dumped in and you sort it out and look at the trends and look at the themes. And then you incorporate it
Mhm.
into the revised plan. And then you go back and say, here's our draft plan, here's what we came up
Yep.
with, what do you think?
Yep.
Have we captured what you want for the town? And I think that's part of what's been missing from this
Yeah.
exercise right here is that, this came out of the blue and.
That's right.
Typically, a project like this, the developer would have a design workshop and say, I bought this piece of land. I'm interested in developing it. Here's what I'm thinking about. What do you think?
What do you think? Yeah.
That's why I asked at the last meeting, what would you like to see on this property? And someone said a cornfield.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jay Miller.
Jay Miller.
you know. And as Paul pointed out, or Greg pointed out, this man made an investment in his property and he wants to get a return on it. So it's not something, we can't just tell him this is going to be a cornfield.
Right.
No,
So we need to explain this type of thing to the public, explain what a comprehensive plan is, et cetera, how important a future land use map is. But ask them questions about what they want the town to be.
Okay.
And go from there. And then we can take what they give us and build it through the plan. And you can see the language I read from the plan to justify
Yeah.
disapproving the application is what you want to have in a plan. When these things come up, you want to be able to point to, we had, public meetings, we had people from town coming in. We developed a plan. Here's what they want in the town. Here's on our map. Here's what our districts are and we want them to be. Here's the density we want, et cetera. And that all has to work in. So then when you get a rezoning application or developing a new ordinance, that all gets built into the ordinance.
Yeah. And you just, what I've learned is in this process that you can't just, a lot of people didn't go to Main Street, the Main Street session. I didn't go to any of them. And then furthermore, their questionnaires were self-selective in terms of who responded. And so I guarantee that there were a large chunk of the population was left out that we need to reach out to. So I'm thinking we need to do some neighborhood workshops. I'm willing to donate the time and get that going, and there can only be two of us present at them anyways, right? So I think we should do the big one, but then I also think that we need to schedule, I'd like to schedule one in the Northeast, and then I want to see what other neighborhoods people think need representing. Do we need that sort of North Street that lower part of North Street and lower part of Carr Street as a distinctive, is sort of a
look,
particular group.
everybody's always talking about it, and it was talked about here with the tree board, what are we gonna do with Market Street, above Hill, right?
Right.
And,
That's right.
include that group of businesses.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
go talk to them, 'cause, it's always a great idea, but these are businesses, they own it, and we can't tell them to do anything, outside of ordinances. So if you're looking to, make that part, the interest of the town more attractive, we got to find out what's possible and get their input. So it's a small group. All the auto shops and
Yeah,
small businesses
And
along there.
it may take some one-on-one. I mean,
Oh,
and I know some other businesses that are in town here who are have not been in the discussion in any meaningful way and have some real specific ideas.
Yeah, we just want to, I think, to sum it up, we want to just minimize selection bias in the
Right.
responses. That's all. And so by going out, by having both, I mean, because Main Street did a lot of good stuff with it, but having the one at the school, which is fine, and then having small ones. And back when we first started, I think I suggested, talking to the ministers in the local churches.
Yeah,
That, using, in case there are underrepresented groups, that's a classic though, small town and churches, and then
Yeah.
the businesses.
Just to be factual, Main Street did do a session in the old food city in the area where
yes,
there's an event space.
That's why I said there's a lot of good,
Unfortunately, it didn't get many attendees.
but you tried, and that's
Yeah.
that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the trick.
Well,
Or-
the thing to remember about Main Street is that they're Main Street. We are the planning commission for the
Right.
town. We have the,
We're
we have
different.
A
the
different
statutory
charge.
responsibility.
Right, but we are the advisory body.
yeah,
Yes.
And advise the town council. So, and probably our scope is a little bigger than Main Street.
Yeah.
yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
Are you looking to figure out how to organize these meetings as we sit here this evening?
I can figure out how to
Okay.
organize them. That's not, I know how to do that. What I'm trying to figure out is who to invite, right? I mean,
Okay.
we can set up, I can call the school and set up, when is a good time to do these? I'm assuming early evening, I guess.
If you're
Yeah.
thinking about who to
You don't
invite,
want to do it during the day, but you can even do a Saturday
Yeah.
and do midday workshop.
Well, I'm thinking,
Prime business time
Start at
though.
10 in the morning, yeah.
yeah, what I'm thinking about is that the first big meeting, we can kick that off and we can have that in like 3 weeks. I can get that pulled
Yeah,
together.
I would say 2 hours. If you started at 6. 'cause
Yeah.
people don't want to really do more than 2 hours.
No.
But that would give us a good idea of what people are thinking
Yeah,
and give them an idea of what we're doing, and, they can talk to us as it goes on.
if I can do this, let's see, what Monday is this? This is, okay. So this is the 6th, 1, 2, 3. That's the town council meeting. I was gonna try to, I thought, we've got habits of people doing Mondays, but that's the town council meeting on the 27th. And then we're the next meeting, but on the other hand, we could make our next official meeting, which would be November 3rd, we could make it the big workshop.
We could, yeah.
Yeah, let's do
we
that
do that
at the
We-
school.
There.
I'll see if I can get the school for Monday.
but also just on who to invite. I mean, I hate to say letters to all the ministers of all the churches in town. To get them to mobilize to
Yeah,
mobilize their folks. Now, there'll be people who don't live in town, but we can use the ministers to say, look, we're interested in town residents, right?
okay.
I mean,
Well, what I'm thinking is,
we're stuck on that.
yeah, I know. I'm trying to think how to make that work. Let me think about how to make that work. I mean, I can produce a letter in no time flat. That's not the problem. So what I'll do is I'll get the day lined up. We'll get it onto the town email. We'll get it onto the town website. We can get it onto the town Facebook page. Once it's out on the Facebook page, we can fasten it to, we can share it with, Women New to the Eastern Shore. Anyway, there's a bunch of people we can do. That part's fine. So the big thing is we can put an ad in the paper.
We're gonna, we want input primarily from an Hancock residents.
And it's gonna say Onancock residents. Yes, this is for Onancock residents. Okay,
And we should, unlike the town council meetings, we should make sure everybody says where they live, right? Because, and I just say that because, I mean,
Slack at times.
well, but in the defense, that there are people who own businesses in town, who don't live in town, who have a legitimate voice,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And so,
mm-hmm. Yep.
So I am not throwing stones at somebody else's glass house.
Okay, so basically, I think we can, for the big kickoff meeting, there's a lot of avenues that we can use. But then the neighborhood meetings are just gonna take a little more personal touch, I think.
Could I volunteer you to do something? Because my voice is not very good.
Yeah,
And I've been in, voice therapy for 6 months, and my therapist finally said, Paul, ASL. Anyway, small joke, never mind. Shore Talk on Weezer.
mhm.
I mean, I know that's a narrow band of people, but I'm thinking
Well, you'd be
Kevin
surprised. It's,
Gaskins or whoever it is.
oh no, are you
Sure.
kidding?
But what I'm thinking is, and then we can say, in Hancock residents, when, where, what we're trying
Okay.
to do,
I can get him
and-
to, Charlie will let me do that.
help raise the profile
Okay.
of what we're doing, and then also get it out to as many people. as
So I
possible.
think that'll get as many warm bodies as we want. And then
Right.
the big thing is to look at who's not there and then develop small meetings, some small meetings for the people who are not there. Like I can work
Yeah.
with,
I'm sitting here thinking, I don't really have any great ideas about how to figure out the small groups, but we work on that.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we can figure that
I
out.
must
trying
be
to-
missing the
Yeah.
point,
Yes,
because this is a small town.
yes.
How many small groups do we have? Seriously?
Listen, there's people who need to be brought in who are not the people that you necessarily think about. For example, I'm starting to, in my walks with Andy and around like that, there is a group of young mothers and fathers with babies. And I think they're going to need a special outreach. They're entitled, I mean, to know something about the town, and they've said things to me. They have little kids. There's a bunch of them from all over town, and I think it'd be fabulous to have one that said, young parents come in, because they may say things like, look, the playground's great, but we really need X, right? What can you do? Or we need to have
So to
better.
me, you're talking about demographics there and not neighborhoods.
Right, that case, you're
Yeah,
talking
I
about
think that's right.
demographics.
I think that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think that special outreach to the historic Northeast is called for,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think for the businesses that are B2, and that I definitely am going to need some help with.
We can
So,
even go door to door.
Yeah. Cindy, I think a part of what we're doing is that we're trying to get beyond the usual suspects, all the people
Yep.
who always come to the town council meetings and always have inputs, and, we'd like to get beyond that. That's the intent. If we
yeah.
can-
And
Yeah.
you know what? You try stuff and sometimes the magic works
Yeah.
and sometimes it doesn't. But if you haven't tried, then you don't have any excuses when people say, I've been left out. So what you have to demonstrate is that, I can handle, once we've got it done, then what I might need some help with is, I think the town ought to pay for refreshments. So you don't bring people to anything at 6 without having something. So the town needs to pay for refreshments on that. We won't put alcohol in there. That would be a bad idea
God,
probably,
no,
but
You want to keep it to 2 hours.
yeah, we want to keep it to 2 hours.
Do we have to request a stipend from the town council? Do we have to press a stipend from town council?
Legal.
Yeah.
And the one other thing is it, and this is maybe totally ridiculous, and it won't bother me if you all start to laugh, but the town has the mailing addresses and the people of all the water meter people.
Of course.
Oh, yeah,
Why
we've got
can't-
everybody.
Why can't we send a letter or a postcard? I mean, a letter with the questions, asking them to respond, or a postcard notifying them.
At times, we've been able to put a notice on the water bill. Can we still do that, Hannah? Do you know?
Yeah, so there's a line that I can put like final bill, or I can put like a little something right at the top of it.
I think I'd like
Make
to
it
do
say anything you want.
separate mailing.
Uh-huh.
I think a postcard is the way to go. What we've
separate mail.
discovered,
Yeah.
what we're just, in fundraising land, I'm starting to use them for the Public Library Foundation, we're going to run our first thing where we follow up an annual appeal letter with postcards, because what we're discovering is that people like postcards. Now, it has to be an interesting looking postcard. We have to figure that part out. But as far as I'm concerned, it can be designed on Canva and have something funny on the front. You know, it doesn't have to have a picture of the waterfront, right? I think it could have, you know, a cartoon of some kind on the front, and be a little more entertaining to look at.
Yeah, I just don't want the halo effect for our work to have a halo effect with the water bill. That's all.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean,
I
we're.
don't think there's enough room in the water.
Yeah.
Besides that.
And I'm not sure who'd read the message.
People don't get water.
Right.
They do it digitally. So-
Yeah.
But I'm just
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah.
And Matt has his little manager minute thing.
Yeah, we can put it on the manager
Certainly
minute.
Put it in there.
Right.
It can be announced at the council meeting in their packets.
Yeah.
right,
We need to invite the town council. We should
Mhm.
oh,
invite
yeah,
the mayor to welcome everyone and.
Mhm.
As well as all the groups that have given us input.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. And then what we can do is, we can, break into some smaller group. We can sort of randomly break into some smaller groups and do some of these Q&As, and we need big sticky notes.
Right.
We're gonna need big sticky notes and a bunch of stuff like that. So, Hannah, put in the thing that it's gonna cost money. Okay, tell them it's gonna cost money.
Just as a thought,
Mm-hmm.
for the Main Street meetings, there were large things on the wall with the question.
Oh, and people,
And then
could-
people put their sticky note responses on it.
it's a good
yeah.
idea. Okay,
A
that's
little
a-
bit of a time saver.
Yep,
all right.
also it gives us the documentation.
Yeah, you want to keep everything, you know, yeah, big stickies, small stickies, sticky notes are really great. Okay, so from that, we can come up with where the need for some small groups lie. Who didn't turn up for this? Like I said, people with babies probably. But it's interesting because I've been having these conversations with people with babies about town.
Street.
Yeah, there's,
And she's
Yeah.
very nice. And she's,
Yeah. Yeah.
walking the baby. So
Right.
Yeah,
it's good to
they're out
see.
walking the baby and they would like to have a chance to talk about being a young family in Onancock.
so then what we also want to do, in addition to trying to have families with children time, we want to, on all of our communication, or some of our communication, alternative ways of responding if you cannot
Yeah,
attend
okay,
any of, you know, I mean, it's unimaginable to us that people couldn't attend, but we want to be able to give them a way of responding if they can't. So if, you know, the mother and father of 5 young children in town have some school thing, right? Or God
after
forbid,
school stuff.
yeah,
Lit-
or, you know,
Soccer.
colds or something, that we can
Mhm.
still give them the opportunity and tell them that their
Okay.
input's important.
Okay, I know how to do this, so I'm gonna work on this, and get it, you know, set up for, in the next week.
Good.
Okay, I'll get this set up in the next week and we'll work on the communication part and I'll see about the postcards. And they need to know. Now, this can be, what I would like from you guys is input on these, whether you want to change any of these questions, if you have other thoughts about these questions, these question prompts. And then I also had a thing where you rank topics in terms of importance to you, just generally, right? More businesses in town, recreational opportunities, parks, public safety, arts and culture, housing, drinking water, stormwater and sewer management, care for the environment, effective town government and tourism. And they can rank those.
This is a vision statement we developed at the last.
Yep.
workshop. I
Yep.
think it was November 2019.
Yep. Yep, that's it. And so what we want to do is I think we can write one that's a little better. I really do. I know they're hard to write, but what we won't,
Based on what people said to me. So-
yep, and we'll see what we can come up with. Yep. So, okay, so that takes care of that. So I'll work on that first meeting. When we do some things where we get out to businesses and stuff, I'm gonna need some of you guys to
Yeah.
help
Sure.
and do that.
Don't worry, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll work on that. Is there anything else that you want to talk about right now that we can talk about right now, or?
The date of this meeting that we're talking, the big kickoff is time frame is beginning of November.
November.
This is November 3rd.
Regular scheduled meeting.
It's our
Okay.
regularly scheduled
Super.
meeting. It's going to become the super meeting.
So, and that's gonna be at FOS,
I'm going to try to get it at FOS because they've got the biggest meeting
and
room.
that we'll invite town council
Mhm.
and all of the other commissions
But they
and
have to be
boards.
quiet and listen.
Right. Well, it's not, not.
It's not joint.
You can say that.
It's not joint.
Or you can try.
Well, I can do my Foskey impression.
No.
But
Wait,
also-
wait, I think this is still being recorded.
Right now, hey, I'm not throwing stones.
No.
But the other thing is that, all the other committees, you know, the EDA, we invite everybody.
Right.
Right?
Sure.
I mean, it's just,
And if we have to, they can meet in tables down the hall. We'll figure something out. It'll work out.
I would love to have a problem with seating,
So would I. I think
Right.
that would be fabulous.
you know?
Okay. So then what that'll do,
Okay.
so that'll be November 3rd. And from that, I'll also have a better picture about who we still haven't touched. And then we can set up
Right.
some neighborhood meetings. And also we'll move quickly to try to get this material transcribed so that we're able to use it.
And can we collect data on sign in? We don't want to.
Oh, totally.
We don't want to have them stuck at the door, but you know, name.
We can pass around sign in on clipboards. You can
Yeah,
put it
okay,
on
so I'm just,
clipboards.
because if people are also owned businesses or what have you, right?
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about getting the data to support.
yeah,
We'll talk about that
yeah.
privately.
So, okay, I think I can get a lot of the publicity done myself, but in terms of logistics, I would like somebody to help me. So, would you,
Drop a
Question.
okay, you can help me with the questions and you can help me with the logistics. And I'll do the marketing for it. I'll try to put together a little budget for the town and I'll present that to them next week. And we have to figure out what we want to feed people. They're gonna, if they're like me at 6 o'clock, they're hangry. So you wanna, you need to give.
Do it at 7.
Well, we could do it. Okay, well, do you want to do it at 7 or you want to do it at 6?
Just say 6.
Day 6? Okay, it's our regular meeting.
People eat them.
They do eat early because we're old.
I always eat before you. I didn't.
And now you're hungry. I know.
Yes, I have no further comments.
Okay, is there anything else that we need to touch on? I think we've got.
In that
Excuse me.
same line, you've got first draft of
Thanks,
table
Joe.
of contents.
Oh, yeah, I do have that for you. Here in this pile somewhere. Hold on. It's a very first draft. And I brought, oh, here it is. Okay. And so we can think about how to reorganize this and how to redo this, but this is a very early draft to give us something to work from. Okay,
And thank you.
you're welcome.
Oh, this is a one timeline. This is the.
Right.
Table of contents. Yep.
Shows December on your,
Huh?
it shows December for table of contents on your schedule.
No, I'm ahead of myself a little bit. That's not a bad thing.
Jim just mentioned what the time.
He's just
Yeah.
giving us a lot of time to prepare.
Yeah, and also a lot of time to look at it and think about if that's how the comments are gonna work out, right? How do the comment, how the sections are gonna work out. I was trying to figure out, I was wondering whether, where did I put it? Oh, where did economics go? Economics disappeared.
Same thing as last time.
It did that the last time too? No, economics is in here. You know what happened was I probably accidentally, you know how you.
No, I mean in the old plan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, we have the demographic overview, which is short, the water and development, what?
The copier got stuck. It ran through 2 pages at the same time and skipped the map.
Yeah, right, right.
Right.
So, so economics is on here and it's up towards the front, obviously. Water, environment, development, economics. Oh, and there's 2 5s. You can tell that, you know, when you get that auto formatting and it starts auto formatting stuff, yeah. So economics is on there, quality of life, land use and zoning. I also, my sister-in-law said that she would pull together Appendix A for me on the demographics, including a comparison generally with Accomack County, so that we're always looking with that. So,
We also tap her for C and a certain amount of cross-referencing the
for
data
what?
that we get.
Try to get tapper for what?
For
Part
C,
B.
Part C here,
The listed community?
and,
Groups.
and cross referencing any of the data that we get.
Oh, okay. I'll see if I can get her to do it. She sort of looked a little stunned, but now I think she's getting interested.
And
Take
April,
that out, don't put that in the.
in April, the woman who evinced an interest 3 meetings ago,
Yes.
she's a like.
I just
yes,
contacted her.
Oh, good.
I just contacted her. So anyway, so this is a rough draft. We can talk about it.
She's attended several.
And Quigley, yeah.
She lives over on Carr Street.
Yep.
Near Carberry, renovated the house over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually walked through their house.
Yeah,
She,
yeah.
same design.
And, you know, one time we thought there was a vacancy when there wasn't, she was interested.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, I have texted her.
And I think what Paul's alluding to is that her interest and her skill is statistics.
Yeah, yeah.
Like yours.
So,
Fix that.
so anyway, she has
Okay.
been contacted. So, okay. So anyway, this is just something to get us thinking, and we'll see if we can get it pulled together based on the work that you're doing and what you're thinking about. And yes, economics is in there. And the big question is, where does housing go and whether it goes in economics?
No,
No, where do you want to put it? It's on its own?
yeah,
Okay.
because land use and housing.
Well, then neighborhood identity should go into housing to me. Don't you think, under quality of life?
It could. All right, let's think about that.
Right.
Okay. All right. There is something I'd like to do that involves driving around in a car, 2 people driving in a car. I want to go through the whole town and identify every derelict house and map them. I think there's a lot of possibility for infill development.
There is, you have to be careful about appearances. Just because something looks run down doesn't mean no one's living there.
No, there's some that you can tell are,
Oh.
Johnson Street and stuff like that.
There are a number.
No, I'm looking at derelict or things that have been, you know, empty for a really long time and are on their way to being derelict. There's one on Market Street. And I don't mean Colonial Inn, but you know.
Doesn't Matt have that data? I thought
No.
Matt had that data.
No. I don't think he does, but we can ask him.
Well, I volunteer to drive, given that I have a hybrid and I can't see anyway.
Okay,
So it's like the perfect match.
yeah. You are.
No house, no virtue.
Yes, it really isn't any
You
good.
know, I don't look out the windshield when I drive
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. All right.
What times during the day are you usually on the road?
You don't need to worry. If you use navigation in your car, that little red dot, that's me.
Okay, All right, well, we'll talk about that. I'll see if we can get that going. So the other thing that's on here is, so anyway, this is just to get us going, okay? So we do have this vacancy and I'll announce it at, well, you can announce it at town council. I texted Ann Quigley and she acknowledged the text, so she knows about it.
We should get it on the town site.
The banner, we'll get it on the banner. And I'm wondering if any of you have any specific, if you have someone who you think that you could recruit who might be a good applicant, please do. So let's think about it. So we'll get it. It's someone who's gonna have to be willing to be a workhorse for the next 6 months, but then okay. So, does anybody have any commissioner statements? At this point, I think nobody has anything to say about anything.
Said it, yeah.
Yep. Town manager report, there is none. General public comment, there is none. I don't know why there's a commissioner's comment too, but all right, I think we're at the point. So is there anybody who wants to say anything about the timeline, the meeting or the meeting prompts or the proposed table of contents?
I always have something.
Yeah,
I think this is great. We need to be careful not to try to do too much,
I agree.
and it should be focused on comp plan and planning.
Yep.
issues. If it's too general, we're not gonna get the stuff we need, but
Yep.
I'll help you with, I'll make more comments.
Get-
Just I didn't
Get
wanna
down there.
Come to you and say, I like this.
Yeah.
Um,
I do think that everything is really clear to me that an emphasis on environment, which is congruent with land use, which is congruent with water, is also really important.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Let me just say this, and I kind of repeat what I said earlier. Our ordinances are not capable of getting us what we want.
that's right.
What I
That's
hear.
correct.
That's right.
That's
The
correct.
Market Street corridor has no landscape requirements. It has there are businesses with no handicap parking. I mean,
Right,
it's just classic things that are not there. And talk about if there's a new residential development, we have to be very specific about what we want, and it's got to be in the code.
That's right.
We can't rely on them saying, we'll do this, we'll do that. Here's the site plan. You know, we need to specify.
Yeah.
And like Bill said, there are ordinances, model ordinances out. there.
yeah, we've got stuff we can use.
You know, use that stuff.
Yeah.
so.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay, I think I'm feeling pretty hopeful and at the moment.
Right.
So should I move that we?
Well, I was just gonna say, Madam Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Okay, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right.
Dinner time.
Exactly.
Well, we bored them to death. They all left.